17,000 WorldCom employees facing layoffs, and Enron employees are probably craving the now. Their bosses ran away with their livelihoods, their life savings. We felt about President Bush's new stand on responsibility.
Criminals are hiding in corporate America. We must find and expose them now, so we can begin confidence of our people. Markets.
From Houston is Tom Dendy, former director of Enron. He is now a member of the severed Enron Employees Coalition. Good of you to join us this morning. Welcome. Was there anything you heard in the president's speech that you think would have prevented the outcome of Enron?
I don't know necessarily there's anything at this point that would have prevented the outcome. I mean, I think over the last several years and the prosperity that we've enjoyed in this country, there's been a lot of pressure for companies to perform and outperform each other. And I think as a result of that, companies kept pushing and pushing the envelope. So I think this might have prevented it maybe 7 or 8 years ago, which is where this is the kind of stance that I think the White House should have been taking, was 7 or 8 years ago, saying, okay, guys, let's be competitive, let's be innovative, but let's stay within bounds. At that time, you really didn't get the big message of corporate ethics coming down, and it really wasn't a focal point in America.
Tom, one of the things the president addressed yesterday is that dishonest bosses or crooked executives should lose all the money they made by deceit. Let's talk about the man that formerly ran your company, Ken Lay, who by some accounts totaled some $100 million last year in salary, bonuses, and loans. What should happen to him?
Well, if you look at what he made, I honestly think a lot of that run-up of what he made, I think, was an equity that is now worthless. But quite frankly, if you look at an individual like Ken Lay, I don't think you can necessarily focus all the blame on the guy at the top, because he had a whole entourage of people around him convincing him that, yeah, this is okay, yeah, we're on the edge, but we're just inside the line, we're not outside the line. So in a case like, you know, Ken Lay, for example, I don't think there's necessarily a deliberate deception, a deliberate intent to deceive and defraud individuals. So as far as what should be done with any of the wealth he accumulated during that time, you know, I can't say I have a strong stand on that, but I do think that since a lot of his wealth was tied up in equity in Enron, I think he's felt quite a bit of it already just in the collapse of the company.
Now that the president has joined the chorus of voices demanding more corporate responsibility, what is the best that you and your colleagues can hope for as you watch this all play out?
Well, this is going to be an interesting time, quite frankly. I think we're about to weather a pretty big storm, because come one way or another, a lot of companies are going to have to come clean. The analogy is, I think it's kind of like steroid use in professional sports. It's a dirty little secret that it goes on. Nobody really admits it goes on. And if you want to compete, if everybody else is doing it, you're doing it. Well, the time comes that suddenly it comes out in the open and people say this is no longer acceptable behavior. So I think what's going to come now is more and more of these disclosures where companies take their licks, take their hits, come clean, say, hey, yeah, we've had some improprieties going on in our accounting in the last few years, and we're gonna make it right. We're gonna set things back on the right track. But I think in doing that, what's going to happen is a lot of the rank and file employees are going to become sort of the hapless victims of this when, for example, companies say, hey, I'm not making as much money as I said I was making. Now I have to cut costs. I have to cut labor costs, lay off a lot of employees. So as far as my view of my colleagues is I think the employees of these companies have to make sure they have a plan to ensure their own, you know, these hiccups in their career are not ruining their lives or ruining their personal wealth, and they have a plan, a way of coming together and ensuring that they can move on to their next career, their next job, and at least get whatever they can, whatever is owed to them from their former employee.
Well, we appreciate you sharing some of your thoughts with us this morning. We mentioned that you lost your job, and like many of your colleagues, lost a lot of your savings tied up to Enron, and we wish you a lot of luck as you try to get your feet back on the ground there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tom Dendy joining us from Houston this morning.